stand if you're able, please.
Good morning and welcome to North Baltimore Mennonite Church. We're happy if you are here in the sanctuary, which is humid but cool. I always give a weather report, I feel like, every time I'm up here. And also glad to have those of you who are joining us online. So this summer, as we've shifted gears in many ways, we've been talking about our stories, and we've been having a chance to listen to stories from within our congregation, and we have 2 more of those today, which we're excited about. We do want to hear from everyone. I usually say that these are brightly colored, but now I will say there is a very beige slip, where we welcome you to fill out a little information, whether you're visiting for the first time or you've been here. And I just want to point out that if there's anything you'd like to share or ask, there's a space for that. So we'll be collecting these later when we come to the tithe and offering time, but just to give you a heads up. So I'm going to ask you to listen to this call to worship, which comes from the United Church of Canada. We gather together in the name of the one who bids us come. We gather together to hear the words of the one who is love. We gather together to sing praises of the one who teaches peace. And as I go on to light the peace lamp, let us pray for the peace across the Middle East, for Ukraine, for Haiti, across West and Central Africa, and for our own country's roles in conflicts near and far. Come, let us worship.
Turn with me to number 594. Turn with me to number 594, Over My Head. And please stand if you are able, once again. We'll sing all 3 verses, and please sing the solo line if you feel soloistic this morning. All right. Standing for number 125, Shout to the Lord.
All That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat beside the sea.
Such great crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat there, while the whole crowd stood on the beach.
And he told them many things in parables, saying, "Listen, a sower went out to sow.
And as he sowed, some seeds fell on a path, and the birds came and ate them up.
Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they did not have much soil, and they sprang up quickly, and they had no depth of soil.
But when the sun rose, they were scorched, and since they had no root, they withered away.
Other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them.
Other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30.
If you have ears, hear."
Hear then the parable of the sower.
When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what is sown in the heart. This is what was sown on the path.
As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy.
Yet such a person has no root, but endures only for a while. And when trouble or persecution arises on account of the word, that person immediately falls away.
As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of this age and the lure of wealth choke the word, and it yields nothing.
But as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and another 30.
Good morning. I am also going to let the kids age 4 to 12 head out to Peace Camp with Pastor Ashley. She's got her hand in the back raised. Kids 4 to 12, head to the back with Pastor Ashley for the stuff that she has planned for you this morning. And I'm also going to invite up here, you all who know you're coming up here, these mission action coordinators. Okay. So one of the things that we, and this reading fits really well with what we were about to talk about, one of the things that we as a faith community have is a shared commitment to the life of faith together. How do we understand what this faith means, and how do we do it with each other? And we sort of have this relational covenant, this commitment to each other to try to live this kind of life. And this commitment, and yes, go back one. So this commitment is that Jesus is the center of our faith. Our faith is grown in community, and together we actively seek God's shalom. And I'm going to talk a little bit this morning with some others about what that shalom looks like, what it means to actively seek God's shalom together, because this is a congregation, you all and others who are online, who take part in the work of God in many ways, in your daily lives, in your work, in intention. And it's something that's been part of the DNA of this congregation really from the very beginning. From the very beginning, this has been a congregation of people who want to be part of what God is doing in this city, in this country, and in this world. And there's kind of a long legacy. We're not going to go through that long legacy here this morning of our congregation's participation in those sorts of things, both individually and together. I do want to mention in particular, though, that the Reservoir Hill House of Peace, which many of you will be familiar with, is a home where we house asylum seekers and other community members, and then we have the Asylum Seekers Housing Network. So those who are in the process of seeking asylum provides programmatic help for them alongside other agencies in the city. So kind of this program and a home. And we've had this for years. It's a great place. I really encourage you to learn more about that and to volunteer. We're always taking people to help there. We've also been involved with Baltimoreans United in Leadership Development. That's a city organization of faith communities and others who are working across the city for improvements together. So those are kind of two that we partner with very closely. But a year and a half ago, what we did is we took the opportunity to really try to name the values that we as a congregation have as far as what does this shalom look like. And we kind of did some things together to kind of name those and run them back by each other and say, does this sound right? And how can we then be more intentional as a congregation in working in these areas? And we kind of asked you all, how do we prioritize those? How do we prioritize the work that we're doing? And who might give leadership for that sort of thing? So I'm going to now let these other people come up, but Billy, Ruth, Aaron, and Rebecca, yes, is that right? Yeah, are going to come up, and they're going to tell you a little bit about some of what we've been doing in some of these areas. And yeah, so I'll let you guys come and say your part. In that order. Billy, Ruth, Aaron, and Rebecca. Yeah.
Hi. Oh, there we go. We got a slide. All right, so I am on the Queer Life team group under Mission Action Coordinators. We have been doing a lot, I think, over the last couple of years. If anybody has been in this church and felt like we are talking about queer people all the time, you're welcome. That's because we've been working at it. So we've been focusing on helping you can kind of see on the slide here, but to create and host events like our Pride event, like our Trans Day of Remembrance event, and quite a few others, both within the church and cooperating with other faith communities in the city. That will affirm and support LGBTQIA plus individuals. Similarly, we try to promote events. We have a picnic coming up that I think you're going to be hearing about in the next few days, weeks, and other events as they occur, again, both in the church and partnered with other groups in the city. And then we also work to facilitate educational opportunities and discussions here and in the community around queer and trans identities. We ran a series in the fall last year, and I'm sure more stuff will be coming down the pipe. So that's kind of the stuff we're focusing on. Overall, if we want to kind of bucket this one, we try to focus on educating and building support within our congregation and contributing to justice for queer people in our city and in our country and in the world.
Good morning. My interest in immigration is kind of grounded in my work with the Reservoir Hill House of Peace and the Asylum Seekers Housing Network. And what I like to do is I like to trace what's going on nationally, by state level, by city level, and then, of course, what's locally with RHHP. So just as a national level, to give the context, there's more than 60,000 immigrants in detention now. It's the highest level it's ever been. Some reports of detention or deportation to Eswatini, used to be Swaziland, Central African Republic, and Democratic Republic of Congo. 50,000 people now have ankle monitors, GPS monitors. The Supreme Court has made a few decisions in the past 2 weeks which have been consequential. One is that they did confirm birthright citizenship, but that decision is still being challenged. They took away temporary protective status, or TPS, for hundreds of thousands of Haitians and Afghan refugees, and they have decided to block new asylum seekers from crossing the border at the south, or any border. At the state level, one piece of good news was that the state did pass the Community Trust Act in May, which does not allow local law enforcement to cooperate with ICE arrests. But this week, you may have read that the Department of Justice has now sued the state of Maryland for what it says are sanctuary policies that interfere with immigration enforcement efforts. This echoes movements across the country, state and federal conflict on immigration that is increasing across the country. At the city level, Arthur mentioned BUILD. We're very involved with BUILD and their immigration work. Recently, in May, they organized a gathering, in April, where Mayor Brandon Scott came to hear some stories about detention and experiences of immigrants in Baltimore City. I was able to be a group of about 4 or 5 people who gave a witness directly to the mayor through the story of our friend Giovanni, who has been detained in the past year. And then Arthur gave the same witness to City Council in May. That was all organized by BUILD. In an appeal for more city funds to go towards legal aid and health care for immigrants in Baltimore City, and the result was actually very positive. It was an increase of the annual city budget from $2 million to $5 million for this purpose. It was a great win for Build. There have been a number of anti-ICE demonstrations. Aaron, Ashley, and I attended a Good Friday demonstration with faith leaders at the Federal Building, led by City Councilman Mark Conway, who's very involved with this issue. Ashley and Aaron have gone to a number of other ICE demonstrations, along with Aaron's Rapid Response Choir. And then at RHHP, having this relationship with Giovanni, who some years back, he lived at the Reservoir Hill House of Peace, and he was picked up and detained for a year, recently was let out. This experience for us has made these things very real, not just hearing about it in the news. So he was released. He's living now at RHHP, and he has a cadre of volunteers helping him to put his life back together. And it's disheartening to see all the various pieces that have come together that need to come together to get back to where he was before detention, basically independent and working, but a lot of pieces to pull together. But bit by bit, we're helping him pull it back together, and so that he can get back to being self-supporting. So, and if you're interested in joining a group of volunteers to support him, please let me know. Thank you.
It's a nice photograph of us a couple summer, maybe last year, in front of the White House, near the White House, when we did a march with Mennonite Action. So my and Ashley's role is to try and, I think, build courage in these moments where we are taking action out in public. A lot of times it is a march or a protest or doing civil disobedience, singing, which isn't necessarily about civil disobedience. But anyways, building our courage so that we can meet the coming, when those red lines get crossed and we need to be out on the streets. Some of us would say now. And we would love, and the main thing I wanted to say too was that this is about partnerships. So Mennonite Action is a big one that we've piggybacked with or learned from and are a part of. But there are also a lot of city organizations that do a lot of the same things we are. And Jewish Voice for Peace, there's World Beyond War, that's the infinity symbol. And then the R stands for the Rapid Response Choir. We're singing tonight, by the way, at a candlelight vigil for Lorenzo, who was killed. He's a father in Texas. We'll be downtown. You can come and listen to music or sing with us. I would love that. I guess the only thing I wanted to say is that a lot of what we have focused on is the Palestinians and the destruction, the genocide there. It causes some of the other organizations that we work with, they maybe don't agree with that part of it. So there's some overlap, there's some kind of cut throughs, but anyways, that's one of our main issues.
So Rebecca, talking about racial justice, mission action, and I would say that over the past 18 months or so, when you look at sort of mainstream media, you would not necessarily see racial justice as something that is being shown a lot in the headlines. A lot of other things have sort of come to the fore and are really getting a lot of attention, as they rightfully should. And there are still racial justice issues that are happening under the surface. I mean, there are still many issues happening in our city, a lot of sort of ways that racism has interlaid with the things that are going on in the nation, in the state, and in the city. And so the initiatives that we've done over the past 18 months have sort of fallen into two buckets, one of which has been promoting some various initiatives that have to do with racial justice and laws in the state and the city. During the last legislative session, there was an announcement to help support the bill that was going to stop the charging of youths as adults. Maryland had one of the highest rates of that previous to the passage of that law. And then also education. And one of the ways that we've done that is through attending a film series by S. Rashim, which talks about Baltimore history and sort of the narratives that have happened and then reshaping those narratives. The most recent one was Beyond the Wire. There were a group of, I think about a dozen of us or so, who went to see Beyond the Wire in June on a Thursday night. And so that's what I have for now.
So each of these that we've just heard from, kind of queer life, immigration, peace, and racial justice, are all areas that our congregation care about, and we are doing things in all of those areas. And so I just wanted you to hear a little bit about those. There's one other area that's not represented because we don't have leadership for that, and this one that's important actually to all of us, I know, and that's things around the environment. And that's something that all of us care about and probably do things on our own, but we don't have someone to kind of give collective leadership for our congregation. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. I just wanted to say that these people, those who have just shared here, and then those who aren't in the room but are working with them, aren't the ones who do mission for us. Their responsibility is not to go and do mission on our behalf, or like we are doing it because Aaron is out there. Rather, they help us live into our mission. And I've kind of given them 3 mandates, and you actually heard it in the different things that they've said, to inform or raise awareness about this for us, to connect us to organizations or opportunities that are happening, and then to create or organize stuff for us to do together. So a lot of what they shared are some of the things that we've done, as well as some of the organizations that they've worked with. And I'm really thankful to each of them because when we started this, we just said we need to do this and let's sort of work out how to do it. And they've worked really well on their own and together and as a team. So I really appreciate that, working underneath our mission committee. And I guess I wanted to say, if you are interested in any of those areas, write it on your connection card, because then we'll connect you to the people. So if you're interested in learning more or being involved or helping give leadership, any of those things, write it on your card. We'll collect them later in the service, but it's an easy way for us to get that information. Or you can talk with any of the people that shared up here. You can talk with me or Ashley or Maxwell Hope, who is our new mission committee chair. So any of us can give you more information. And hopefully you are aware of most of these things. We try to do our best to let everyone know what's going on. But if you want to know more, that's who to ask. So I want to especially say thank you to all of those mission action coordinators who have really helped us over these past 18 months to be an active and involved congregation in the mission that we believe in. So thank you.
Join me in turning to number 777, Invoices Together. We'll stay seated for this, but I invite you to use this time to listen, to join in, to reflect, to prepare for these stories that we'll hear today. I'll sing it through once, and I invite you to hear what this sounds like, and then we'll sing through a couple of times together, and then we'll sing through as many times as the Spirit leads this morning.
Use our hands, use our feet to
So one of the themes of today is probably really clear, this theme of seeds, of sowing, and that actually comes out. The scripture today was part of the Mennonite lectionary. And as I was getting ready to lead worship, I was thinking, well, we've got this broader theme of our stories this summer, and it really struck me that one of the most important seeds in my own life have been the stories of some of my dear friends. And the stories of faith and the stories of their lives. So my friend Jen from high school, or my friends Sarah and Amanda from college, or Megan Williams, who many of you know, who's one of my dearest friends. Their stories have really fed me, and their stories are stories that I tell others. They're not my stories, but they're stories I share because I feel like their stories are seeds that I can put out in the world. And so when you think today of our series, that we're sharing our stories, and we're going to hear from Chey and from Carolyn this morning, that these do become our stories, and these are stories that you can share to others, even as they nurture you. So that was just something, as I was thinking about this, that it's really been profound. And I've already shared some of the stories that we've heard with others. I've had people, you got to listen to this, because it's just really encouraging. So we are going to welcome two storytellers today. If you haven't been part of this so far, basically how we're doing this is we're going to come up. And in Chey's case, we're actually going to see a recording of Chey's story. And then we're going to just take a couple minutes and just to have a little moment of reflection. So we encourage you to listen with curiosity, but know you'll have a couple minutes. And then we're going to invite a time of questions, and just to have 2 or 3 questions. And it can be whatever it is that you're curious about or something that you wanted to reflect on from that story. So that's how we're going to set up. I think we're going to start then with Chey's recording, and then Chey will welcome you to come up after a couple minutes.
Close your eyes. Think about disabilities. What comes to mind? Are they visible or invisible? Who comes to mind? You can open your eyes now. Hi, my name is Chey. My pronouns are they, them. I am a disabled, non-binary queer mom, and today I'm going to attempt to tell a part of my journey living with disabilities. While I tell my story, some photos and words will be on the screen, including my current diagnosis. It all started in high school. As a kid, I played every sport I could. I loved choir, being in musicals, and running clubs. When I was 17, I started my first official job at Taco Bell. After a few months, I began having pain in my legs. At first, I dismissed it. Growing up, I was told that after a long shift, your feet are just supposed to hurt. But the pain grew and grew with every hour I worked. One evening, I was literally rolling in bed, screaming in pain. My dad took one look at me and said this was definitely more than normal work soreness. I needed to get it checked out. After a mountain of appointments, my insurance finally approved MRIs for my ankles. The diagnosis was osteochondritis dissecans, also known as OCD, and it was in both ankles. I was told I needed to use a wheelchair. OCD is rare on its own, but it is even more rare for someone to have it in multiple joints. It was my senior year, and I needed surgery on both ankles. But even with 2 surgeries looming, I was determined to live my life. I still did the musical in choir. I stayed president of FCCLA in the botany club. I even went on a choir trip to California wearing a walking boot. My focus was entirely on getting into college. I graduated high school and I moved forward. My doctors and surgeons were convinced I would get better. Instead, I had 4 surgeries during college. One was an ankle fusion, another was an ankle replacement to replace the failed fusion. Every single surgery kept failing. During all of this, I went to school full-time and worked full-time. Every surgery meant taking at least 2 months off of work. Honestly, it felt like I was only working just to pay off the medical bills for surgeries. To make matters worse, everywhere I lived had stairs. Freshman year, I lived in the dorms, and let me tell you, accessible spaces are often not accessible. I had to take showers at the campus gym because the dorm facilities didn't work for me. Sophomore year, I lived in the basement of a duplex, which probably had the most stairs I've ever had to scoot on. Junior year, I was a trailer, and senior year was a basement apartment. Navigating campus was its own battle. I had to get official accommodations because it was physically impossible to get to my classes on time. 2 of my classes weren't accessible at all, just endless flights of stairs. Despite all of it, I pushed through and I graduated with a degree in criminology and sociology. The fall after graduation, my wife and I moved from Kansas to Baltimore. I tried working as a manager at Five Guys and Taco Bell, and I interviewed for criminal justice jobs, but my body couldn't keep up. I finally decided to stop working and fight for disability benefits, and it took 4 long years of fighting with the help of a lawyer just to get approved. Since moving to Baltimore, I've had 3 more ankle surgeries, an emergency gallbladder removal, and a knee surgery. That is 11 surgeries in 11 years. I was also diagnosed with dysautonomia, fibromyalgia, and several other conditions. Over the years, I have used a knee walker, a manual wheelchair, an electric wheelchair, a walker, crutches, tape, and annoying braces like the current one I'm wearing. The majority of those items are supposed to be a temporary short-term fix. Using them long-term ended up messing up my body even more. Every day I wake up with chronic pain throughout my entire body. To be honest, I don't even remember what the time before full body pain feels like. With dysautonomia, one of my biggest daily hurdles is brain fog. It also brings dizziness, lightheadedness, chronic fatigue, abnormal heart rates, and variable blood pressure. Right now, I am on 12 different medications, plus Botox injections for migraines. I don't think any of them actually work, but I try anyway. My doctors want me in physical therapy all year round for different parts of my body. On top of the physical toll, I constantly deal with medical fat phobia and judgment because of my age. People assume that if I'm not actively wearing a visible brace or using an assistive device, that I'm magically cured. But the reality is, I don't even think my surgeries are close to being done. The majority of my disabilities are entirely invisible. The only time they become visible to the public is when I am actively recovering from a surgery. My disabilities changed me. My life before looked entirely different. I thought I played basketball in college, but I couldn't. I thought I'd be working a career where I could make a real difference with my degree. I truly love working. Navigating all of this since the age of 17 has taken a massive toll on my mental health. Through this journey, I've learned that there is a significant divide between people who live with chronic illness and those who don't. My goal in sharing this story today is to bridge that gap, to show that there is always so much more to a person than what you can see on the surface. The next time you see someone park in a handicapped spot or see someone utilizing a store's electric scooter, try to remember this story. You never truly know the battle someone might be fighting just to exist.
This is less of a question and more just of a thank you. And I think I'm probably saying that for everyone for sharing this, for getting us to see differently and to hopefully be more sensitive and understanding. You're very brave and you're also very strong, but I can imagine that it doesn't feel easy. Yeah.
Chey, one of the things that you have said is that it's not helpful for people to ask how you are doing, because generally you are not doing particularly well. But for people who care and want to know essentially how you're doing, what's a better conversation or what's a better question for you?
Kind of, I think it would be like what's going on with your life, because that opens the door on whether or not I can like say how I'm doing versus like what's going on.
I'm just curious, have you gotten most of your medical care, assessment, treatment here in the Baltimore area?
No, I'm from Kansas, so in the beginning it'd be Kansas, and then now it's Baltimore, DC kind of area.
Hi, this is Sarah. I'd love to know what it is that gives you the strength, the renewal, the thing that makes life worth it with all the pain and the struggle. Like, what brings the love in that allows this equation to keep going? I mean, what is it that is the most nourishing for you?
Yeah, I would say currently the number one thing would be my kids. And then the second thing being that one day I do hope to change the world in some way. So, yeah. I was just going to say, since the last slide didn't really show, I was going to list the list, basically. It's a partial list of diagnosis. The first one is osteochondral defect and osteochondral dissecans, right and left ankle, primary osteoarthritis of the right knee, central auditory processing disorder, carpal tunnel, dysautonomia, CPTSD, major depressive disorder, scapular diakinesis, chronic pain, vitamin B12 deficiency, fibromyalgia, chronic migraines, mixed IBS, sleep apnea, chronic fatigue, anxiety, and gender dysphoria.
Thank you for naming those things, because I think so often we hear things and don't connect them to people. So thank you. Thank you, Chey. I'm going to welcome Carolyn to come up. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to thank the congregation for their support for the past 17 months. My name, many of you don't know me, I'm Carolyn Iwata. My husband is Moss. And for the past 17 months, we've had many medical problems. And so we have attended online. But besides thanking the congregation in general for your visits, your cards, and your prayers, I would also like to thank my small group, which Chey is part of. Bruce is part of it, who's Dan's son. He came to visit us. and Amy, Toby, and someday, maybe 20 years from now, I'll be talking about, what that small group meant to me. But I would like to thank them, and also Jo Funk, she's in the nursery today. But our family has gone to the Jersey Shore for 60 years. And the past summer was our 60th wedding anniversary. And our whole family was still going except for Moss and me. And so Jo put her social worker hat on, and she said, I will get people to visit Moss every day that you're gone, and you go spend a week at the beach with your family. So I just cannot tell you how much the support, even though you don't see us here, we see you on television every Sunday. So thank you. The other thing I'd like to take, this is not part of my 10 minutes, Arthur. The other thing I'd like to do is I'd like to just briefly mention the visitors that are here. Usually you ask people, well, I think I have a fan club today. And my daughter that I live with, that you hear, Amy, at Ellicott City most of the time, and two of our granddaughters are here, Hannah and Lydia. And our daughter in Richmond that we visit is here, and her wife, Tara. So, and also Richard Ames Ledbetter. Some of you may know Richard, but Richard was part of the 7th history that I'm going to talk about today. And of course, my dear Beth. So, and I have to read this, so I make it in 10 minutes. Otherwise, I take too long. Ooh, light's not very good here. It's hard to see. Here, I'll try it this way. When asked to share something about myself, I immediately thought of my friendship with Jean Pollitt and Beth Bryant, the Midtown Children's Center mission, and our, this is going to be bad, involvement. Thank you. Now I know why you're a minister. That's right. Okay, I'll start over. When asked to share something about myself, I immediately thought of my friendship with Jean Pollitt and Beth Bryant, our Midtown Children's Center mission, and our involvement and support of Woodbury Crossing. It has been a journey of 3 ordinary women who became lifelong friends and were given opportunities and made choices which had an impact on children in Baltimore City. It all began at 7th Baptist Church on North Avenue in St. Paul. My mother's family migrated from the South during World War II to employment in Baltimore. They lived on Monroe Street, and the closest Baptist church was 7th. I was born in the 2800 block of Charles Street in my doctor's guest bedroom. My dad paid $5 and a white shirt to the doctor. I lived on Monroe Street until I was 4, and then I moved to Medfield Heights. From kindergarten to 9th grade, I walked up Cold Spring Lane and rode the bus up and down Roland Avenue to Roland Park Elementary and Junior High School. Sometimes I walked if I used my bus money for ice cream at Morgan Millard's. Fun fact, my Girl Scout brownies met in this building. At 7th, there were 2 sets of children that attended. Children like myself who were members of core families, families who contributed with attendance, leadership, and financial giving, and then children who came by themselves, who either walked to church or were given rides by core families. My friend Jean was a child who came on her own. She walked from Remington with her sister Mary every Sunday. I have always been friends with Jean. I cannot remember when the friendship started, but we were members of 7th early on. Jean's husband, Joe, lived on North Avenue and Hartford. He was a child who attended 7th as well and brought his brother Joe. Jean and Joe met at 7th, and they liked each other from the age of 12. Jean's, let's see, no. Jean and I attended Eastern High School, which is where I met our other friend, Beth Bryant. Eastern was an all-girls high school, and at the time, there were you were enrolled in business or you were enrolled in college prep. Jean was in the business and I was in college prep. We didn't see each other at school, but we did continue our friendship at church. I also met, Jean and Beth never met in high school. I also met Moss while we were in Baltimore he was there for a summer internship. I was 17 and he was 21. I went off to college at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina. My dad was Moss's Sunday school teacher during that time. And then Moss was drafted and joined the Navy. During this time, Jean and Joe got married. And when I returned from college, Moss wasn't so old anymore. And we were married in 1965. Joe was an usher in our wedding. I taught U.S. history at Gwynns Falls Junior High, and Moss was a ceramic engineer. After high school, Jean worked in the business field. She decided to take a course in early childhood at Essex Community College. One of her assignments was to design an early childhood classroom. After the assignment, Jean approached our pastor and asked if the church could consider opening a preschool program to the children in the surrounding neighborhood. The church welcomed her idea and decided to make the preschool a ministry. Now Beth enters back into the picture. Beth went to college, returned to Baltimore. She also met her husband at church. Barry's brother was the minister of Govans Presbyterian, where she attended. While teaching kindergarten, Beth heard of Seventh's mission. Because the church was licensing this preschool, they needed a qualified director. Jean was not qualified to be the director, but to be a teacher. So they needed a director. Beth applied for the position and was hired as director. The program was named Midtown Children's Center after the Midtown Churches Association, which included Seventh Baptist, St. Mark's Lutheran, St. Michael's Episcopal, Lovely Lane Methodist, and St. Anne's Catholic. It was there that the friendship among the three of us truly began. The first children at the Midtown Children's Center were Marvin and Jackie Estes, who lived just down the street. When their mother decided she wanted to go back to college, the church changed the program from part-time to full-time. Their mother, Dee, went on to get a degree in accounting, and she later became the treasurer of the center. I started volunteering at the center and took Amy with me. During the time, we moved from Timonium to Windsor Hills in Baltimore City, and that's another story. Once the center went full day, year-round, Beth and I co-directed the program. Jean continued teaching. And together, she and Beth also led parenting classes for families in homeless shelters and family support centers. Eventually, Jean moved to direct her church nursery school, and Jean began working at the Waverly Family Support Center, and I continued directing Midtown for 20 years. The center served the community for almost 3 decades. Our pastor, Bob Dorr, often described it as a ministry with just enough. And somehow there was always enough. While I directed, I also was active in Maryland Committee for Children, an advocacy group for children, daycare, and family child care workers. Eventually, this led to my next chapter, which is another story again. Fast forward to Beth's husband's retirement. Barry said to Beth, "You have supported me over the years with my job. What would you like?" And Beth said, "I've always dreamed of having a place where children in the city could come and see God's nature." So together they bought 100 acres of land in Parkton. And that was the beginning of Woodbury Crossing. Jean and Beth developed Woodbury's mission to bring children from the inner city out to the country and then experience nature. For the past 25 years, Woodbury has welcomed children from Baltimore to experience nature, swimming, hiking, farm animals, including 2 500-pound pigs, biking, and simply being outdoors. It also hosts church retreats, church picnics such as ours, and other functions. For example, social workers hold weekend retreats for families with incarcerated members, as well as families who have lost a member to violence. Personally, we have attended 7th Church Reunion, Jean and Barry's memorial service, and we'll be having Moss's 88th birthday celebration. In fact, the last social event that my dad attended was Beth's daughter Meg's wedding reception, and I can still see dancing with the bride. Woodbury has become a family mission. Over the years, Moss and I, our daughter Amy, Jean, and members of her family, Beth, and several of her children, have served on the board. We continue sharing this story because we believe every child deserves the opportunity to experience the joy, peace, and hope that Woodbury offers. Most of you know Judy Bichon, a longstanding member of North Baltimore Mennonite Church, and she has said, "Woodbury is the best kept secret." So I stand here sharing my story of 3 friends for 70 years plus, just ordinary daughters, wives, mothers, grandmothers, and now great-grandmothers, and what we were able to do when situations were presented and we chose to respond. Jean took a college assignment and turned it into a ministry that served children for more than 25 years. Beth accepted the call to lead the ministry and later fulfilled the dream of creating Woodbury Crossing. I had the privilege of directing Midtown Children's Center for 20 years and now continue to support Beth's and Woodbury's mission. Although Jean is no longer with us, Beth and I, now in our mid-80s, remain close friends. We continue the mission that began so many years ago, serving children and their families. Looking back, I don't think our story is really about 3 extraordinary women. It's about 3 ordinary women who were willing to say yes when God opened a door. And when I look at the children, families, and communities that have been touched over the years, I'm grateful we did. And where's Beth? Oh, there's Beth there. And Beth has brought chickens from the farm, and we'll bring them, they're with the nursery right now, but we'll bring them up front as soon as church is over, and children any age can come and pet them if you want.
We welcome questions. Again, Dan's got the mic. And would you prefer to sit? I can give you the, there you go, so you can, oh, and people will.
Thank you. I wanted to ask something just a little practical. If people can't go to Well for the Journey today, do they have access points for the public, like an open day once a year or something like that? Do I need to speak louder? Does Well for the Journey have an access point for the public, like an open day once a year or something like that? I meant Woodbury. I'm sorry. Woodbury is what I meant.
Would you like to say something?
We don't really have a day where we invite everyone, but you're always welcome to call and come visit. We live there, so we're always welcome to have visitors.
Oh, yeah, where, for those of us who do not know us well, Moss's name is Masahiro. We call him Moss. It's Sam backwards. He gets called Sam a lot. And we're having his 88th birthday. It's very Japanese to have your birthdays divisible by 7. Is this the question, Marcia?
The question is, Amy said tell them about Earth Day or Spring Fest and Oktoberfest are opportunities where they can...
Oh, Marcia should speak, shouldn't she? I have trouble here. Oh, Beth, oh, yeah, we have in the... Amy, you can answer it. Amy's on the board. Amy's on the board.
I guess the question, if there's times, a day that people could come and actually see the farm themselves. There are 2 major days when there are events there. It's Oktoberfest, and there's also an Earth Day celebration. So one's an evening sort of party event, and then the other one's more like families and activities, learning about Earth Day. So.
Well, I got a plug-in for Moss's birthday anyway. But I will tell you, we couldn't help it. It's the weekend of the church retreat. So.
I love how your story is it's about programs and doing really important things, but it's about friendship. That's a theme of what you told us about today, which I really appreciate. I lost my mother a month ago, age 98, and we're planning her service, and her legacy is friendship also. So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
When I heard the name Woodbury Crossing, I thought, I know that name. How do I know that name? And I realized that both of my girls, when they were in preschool, went to Woodbury Crossing, as well as, I want to say, Ozhord, and also Amelia, I think, went as well. We're all preschoolers at Govins and all went to Woodbury Crossing. That was one of their annual trips for the four-year-olds.
Oh, thank you. Do you hear that, Beth? Okay. Okay, thank you. You want to go get the chickens?
I think we'll get the chickens when we're maybe moving towards the words of sending. Might be a good time for chickens. Thank you. Thank you, Chey. Thank you, Carolyn.
For our sending song today, I invite you to stand and turn to number 839. And we'll sing through both of these verses.
Just to extend that, go now in peace, generally sowing seeds of love and forgiveness, not worrying about where they might fall. Go out of here with joy, telling the good news of God's abundant, lavish love for all creation. Tell your story, tell our stories, and go be a witness to all the possibilities for hope and peace. Amen.